And so we're in DesignScene. We're talking creativity.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, this is the best topic.
Yes. And two people who are big advocates.
Yes.
Right? There we go. And big pals. And I want to thank you so much for, I don't know, we started creating this relationship and then it just sort of blossomed into, well, 3 design scenes. What was the 4th? We did one.
That was one on 3rd floor. That was the very first one.
That's right. And, for everybody out there, I'm Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design, and I am talking to my good friend, Ryan Smith, who is the creative guru over at 3form and LightArt. I don't know, whatever. Who cares about titles, right?
It's just responsible for doing fun things.
Yeah, there we go. And I say it every year, and maybe every time we're on Zoom together, that it's such, I don't know, a miracle is not the right word, but it is like it's hard to find connections in that way where you can really collaborate, where you feel like the mutual respect is always there. And then as things shift and change, it's not like, oh my God, I don't want to tell him, because when you're putting together an installation, invariably there's a million things that are happening. And you're just so much fun, easy, respectful, also a great creative partner in every way, shape, or form.
Well, thank you. And I do appreciate that. I know we're in an audience here and everyone's like, oh, she's just saying that.
No, that's not true at all.
And I know.
I say it 100 times.
And I appreciate so much because I think
there was a hug.
What I feel like when we first started talking, like you have to get over that creative hump.
Right.
And so
true.
I think there was that early phone call, where in the first couple of rounds, I mean, it was like, okay, and you're like, look, I'm just gotta say this, I don't like it. And I remember, I don't know what I said at the time, but I probably said something like, that's okay. I'm actually glad that you told me you don't like it.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, then I can just talk. And I said, yes, please.
Yeah.
Let's have a real conversation.
That's true. We've been doing it for so long now that I don't feel any kind of tension of course, I'm so respectful that I always, whatever. If I don't like something, I am sort of gentle, but upfront, but gentle. But I don't remember the time where it might have been the first, second, or third where it was like, because now we've been doing it for so long,
right.
And we have the same sensibility and the same passion for design that we just want to get to a great end result,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Right. So I think that is a big connector for the both of us, right? And if you don't like something, or if we're going in the wrong direction, I don't know, we find a way to get into the right space all the time.
Well, and I think I like listening because I know there are certain things you'll say along the way, and I'm like, ooh.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
Ooh.
or it's just like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I didn't get a response on that one. I was like, it's not that great, right? And you're like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, no, that's perfect because I thought the same, right? And it's that comfort to sort of say like, this is rough. You're like, okay, it's rough, but we like rough.
Yeah.
Right? And then you play with rough a little bit and then it gets better.
True.
And then sometimes it doesn't. And that process is so interesting, except I have to say the black shelves was pretty funny. That was a good reaction. We did have a good reaction this year.
Oh, yeah. So tell us. You can tell them.
Well, I mean, this thing is running along fast as it always is because we're preparing for our show. And I don't know if I had totally shown you the black shelf.
You did not.
Okay, I did not. That's true. Okay. Yeah. And so we had different versions of the shelf. And I was like,
which is a long shelf running the entire length
the whole room
of the
40
room.
feet.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. It's kind of a big feature. So it was black. It was only a black thing because it was a metal shelf. And I was like, okay, it was under construction. And I was like, oh, the black shelf will be fine. And I was kind of like silent, I think, on the call. And I was like, oh, Dax, Cindy doesn't like the black shelf. And then you're just like, does it have to be black?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was one of those things because there are a million pieces to an installation like this, right? And it goes from a germ of an idea, and then it gets bigger. It goes left, it goes right, it goes front and center, and all those things. And that shelf, we talked about whether we would mirror it, and we were all excited about that. But we never talked about the color. In my mind, it was always raw.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yes.
And in your mind, it was like, we need to clean it up or something.
Well, we couldn't get it made in time, I think.
Oh,
also.
that's true. That's true. But anyway, it was like, Oh, God. Oh, I know. He said, well, maybe we can paint it on site. And then the next day he said, I caught them just in time.
Oh, yeah,
and
so like the day before they're powder coat the thing. So.
Yeah, and it's going to be orange. Oh, my God. I was like so happy. Okay, so everyone knows we love each other and we like collaborating. But so let's take everybody back.
Yes.
So, we get on, very many Zooms together, and we were discussing what is this installation going to be? And Ryan is invariably working with Dax, who is amazing. Who's here? Hi, Dax. He's got a big creative space. And what Ryan always does that I love so much, he goes, Cindy, I got to show you. And he picks up his computer on the Zoom, and he always walks me around and shows me what you guys are working on, which is so much fun. And it's so Ryan, like, oh, here he goes. He's going to get up and start walking around. And you showed me, oh, and by the way, we have a few 3D printers and we've been playing around with these shapes. And you showed me one or two shapes. And usually then it's like, oh, Dax, come here. Let's show her this thing and let's show her that thing. And I was like, oh my God, that's the installation.
Yeah.
Right? It was right. It went like that.
No, I know. It's
yeah.
kind of amazing, and I think design process is always, it's always evolving. And so I think the other part of that was like, okay, what have we not talked about? And I was dying to show you something that was new. I'm like, hey, look, there's something new.
Right.
I was like, hopefully Cindy likes this, because we were so excited by it.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah,
and
it was fun.
And I have to say, like, that's the thing too. Like with us in the creative process, there's not strong no's. It's where we can take it, what it can be at the end. How can we visualize it? And it's okay that it looks like A today, B tomorrow, C the next day. We're going to get to the E or F or wherever it goes. And so that's kind of the fun. This was an experiment in materials, which was fantastic. We all had to also decide, like, oh, let's do lighting. But it can't be like a lighting showroom at NeoCon, because that's not what we're doing. We're always trying to do something that's a creative expression, right? So, but it was pretty funny. And by the way, Dax is also a saint, because it was three. So tell them. So it went from like 3 3D printers.
Oh yeah, I have like 20 now.
To 20. In order to make this happen, they had to just keep churning out shapes. And
10,000 print hours, I think.
That is
represented.
That is amazing. So that's what I mean about, like, also just what I find in, sometimes you are working with people or companies and you feel they're hesitating because they've already decided.
Right.
We never have that. Even if I don't like a color, whatever, we don't have that at all. We're on the journey. I just feel like I'm always on the journey with you, which is so amazing. And Dax, you're always there, like, okay, and you're always talking together, which is also really lovely, and I think that's the thing. I always say, like, I can't be creative around people that I don't feel really comfortable with, or I have to be away from that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you find, people that are your kindred in that way, you hold on.
Well, and that's, the creative process. We're in the design industry and the creative industry. This is this like really nebulous thing, at the end of the day, and everyone has a different approach. And, it's like, how do you define that? How do you get to that end goal and that vision? Is it a single person's vision? Is it a collective? Is it an effort of a bunch of things coming together? It's all of those pieces that we're familiar with, but it always sort of just exists in a bunch of parts, generally in our industry.
Yeah.
And I think when they cross over and they, this kind of collaboration that we're talking about, it starts to become, additives right out of the gate. And that's that feeling.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
It is actually quite rare in the design world. And I've only noticed it, with a few collaborations, because a lot of times it's just a really simple, 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
But it's like, when it's 1 + 1 = 4 and 6, and just the idea sparks something else. Those are really special kind of design moments, and they're hard to capture, and they don't happen that often.
No, they really don't. They really don't. And like, just for everyone out there, like to create an installation for a show is also very complicated on many levels. We're a media company. We're not a manufacturer selling anything. So we want to invest in people and community, but we're not investing in a showroom to sell lighting. or to sell whatever.
Right.
Now, yours is a little bit different because you want designers to know about the material. And these ended up being good things for both of us, right? Because you can take it so far because you want the designers to go, wow, what is that? But just in terms of media, the thing that makes Ryan so amazing to work with is we have partners. So I might get a call and be like, oh, we have Momentum is willing to do wall covering for, on the wall, and we're trying to find somebody to do carpet. And everything has to shift. Everything has to adjust. We were thinking we wanted a stark wall, and now we have a wall covering company. We have to make it custom. We have to turn things around. You adjusted based on what we thought we had or what we thought was coming through, and it had to keep changing back and forth. I mean, and frankly, I felt bad. This time I was like, we can't tell them one more time we're changing, but you were so amazing.
Well, I think if you ever stop yourself along the way, I mean, this is a sort of a design lesson, which I've tried to follow, but then you stop yourself from learning. Yeah. Or stop yourself from progressing on something.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, there is a point where something just can't get done, for sure. But, if you're always open to what it could be, then you're always looking for the right solution. And I think that should never end, really, right?
No,
I mean, that's
should
just
never end.
Yeah, that just kind of rolls along. And I mean, there would have been a point where we were just like, okay, maybe there's no carpeting, right?
Right. No, that's true.
We just
that's
adjust,
true. Yeah,
to
that's so true. And then I think the other thing that was really fun is the idea of scale. So this year, the idea of scale, because in order for Dax to start producing all these pieces, and he's experimenting with shapes and also color, at some point we were like, no, let's keep it sculpture and white, because you can make you guys can make any color, but we were like, okay, let's not do that. But you were playing with the miniatures and the magnets and putting things together, and that was your sense of, okay, let's let the designer play.
Right.
Yeah, and that became the long shelf that was mirrored, and then all these little pieces that people could play with. And I have to say, I'm always the one who's I want it perfect. I don't want anybody playing at all. I just want it to be the way it's perfect. But anyway, we were like, okay, I'm going to give it up because I'm looking at the wall right now and things have been moved around. And I'm really not happy about it. But I said, it's okay. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Boy, they were playing a lot with it today.
Really?
It was fun.
That's great.
Yeah, and all the pieces on the end, people were lifting them up.
That's amazing.
Them.
Right.
Yeah.
So the big shapes. And I have to say, we do a big round table in the room next door with, design leaders from all the giants firms. They all went crazy for the space. They have to walk through the space to get into the room, and they were super wowed.
Yeah. Oh, that just feels so good to hear that. I'm honored to hear that, and just always appreciative of that feedback, because I think a lot of times, as we all do, you put things out there, and you always describe it like you're swimming out in the deep water, and there's no one behind you, and you're wondering where you're going, and so just getting some of that feedback along the way. And I think lighting is kind of a happy medium too. It brings light and joy, and so that emotion, I think, as people came into the space, you really saw people kind of react, and even out in the hallway, just right around this corner, you can kind of see it as you walk down the hallway. And that was a really cool goal. I remember sending you a picture from the hallway. I'm like, the hallway looks good.
I know, it's so great.
That's a fun, and that's that kind of experience, right? You want someone to just have fun, see something they're surprised by, think about creating and making and all that.
Yeah, the act of making. I mean, I have to say, we're never quite done.
Oh, I know.
Because we were we forgot about the black cords.
No one's seen the black cords.
I know they don't seem to care, but there are orange cords. So I was like, there are such a thing as orange cords.
The one thing we forgot about. I actually just didn't even think about it. Yeah, next time, Dax.
What's that movie? Oh, it's the ice skating rink. Oh, it was the ice skating. What is it? Ice Castles, where she's blind and she's skating and who's that actor? Oh, you guys are way too young. So she's blind and she learns how to skate, and the crowd goes crazy for her. And then she falls because they throw roses. They love her so much they throw roses into the rink, and they were like, "We forgot about the roses."
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, you have to have something. So
we always have to look forward to making things better.
Yeah.
Always. And so we want to tell everybody too that we have a new space in New York that we're going to be working on, and we've talked about let's do some sort of installation in the front of our space always and get people inspired. I mean, that's the thing what we want to do. We want to inspire people, right?
Right. Yeah. I think that exactly. I mean, that's what I said this to you last night too. I mean, that's also what you help to do for the whole community, is you help just inspire everyone that comes to the show and everyone that's in the magazine. And this is all part of the voice of the design community. So, I just say that from my perspective, but I imagine a lot of people are thinking that too. It's like how to have that kind of creative conversation at a larger level and inspire. And certainly this space is meant to be a little bit of that personality of interior design.
Yeah.
So people can come and meet the people behind, the magazine, so to speak. But, just also you supporting that, with us, that's a hard effort. I mean, all the work to put the words out and to, get the community together. I think that is a cool part of just what happens in the industry. And there's not I still can't think of anyone else really doing that. So
thank you.
I
think I kind of joke around that. Well, thank you. That's so sweet. But I kind of joke around and say no one really knows what I do. And I think once I work with somebody, together, they have a better sense
right.
of that I'm not just running around trying to be fabulous. I'm in it. Right?
It's back to the creative process.
Yeah.
It's like a meal. No one knows it took 10 hours to make.
Right.
It's just a very small event at the end of that long
That's
day.
true. Right. I was joking around that people, and listen, the heart of it for us is always the magazine. And I kind of joke around with Helene and I say people might be sitting on the toilet going, "Wow, that's a great feature." Boom, 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 boom. And then they go into the next one. I'm like, how long it took to do that.
Yeah.
And then on the reverse side, I tell my editors who are brilliant, it took 3 years for that project. And that's why we have to respect and do it the right way and, be very, very serious about the writing, the layout, how it's printed, the overall, because that's our responsibility. And I think that people feel that. And that's why I think the magazine's still strong.
Yeah, and that's that attention to detail at the end about design. I mean, that's where design and creativity kind of pulls that whole thing together. Because if everyone is doing pieces of it, but you have to spend the energy to pull that together to sort of say this is a universe because all of that is so hard to do.
I know, it's so hard to do.
And the details are sometimes the hardest. So those black cords will be fixed next year. We'll iron out that detail.
So first of all, a huge thank you.
Yes, well, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And it can't be as fun as working together, but what's next?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's always an interesting question, right? And I think what is interesting to me is thinking about in the digital age, this is this classic AI conversation. Our space is manufacturing. And so I love the hands-on. And so obviously this is a big chance to be in real life, hands-on. And so this concept as we keep going forward, I mean, there's a lot of digital effort that went into this, but as we keep going forward, how do we think about the future with this kind of tangible making? There's something about this, this kind of human condition, and I think that's what the digital AI isn't able to do. And the human condition is celebrated through design. It's all the imperfections and emotion and beauty of color and light and space.
Yeah.
And we're still able to translate that as people in all of this universe. And so as a starting point to do that, and then on the manufacturing side to say let's make cool things. How do we just continue to celebrate making things since we're able to make them here, which is great.
Yeah.
And what does that mean going forward? And how do we affect people to just show that that's still a meaningful part of building our surroundings?
Yeah, it's funny because we had this roundtable of leaders, and the first conversation started about AI, of course, because everyone's sort of grappling with it and thinking about it. And most of the conversation end up being about people, humanity,
Yeah.
and encouraging, mentoring, all those things to get the best out of people. And so that's what you're saying too. Yeah.
You know, and I was talking to a recruiting service today that is we know in the building, and they were also worried about the same question. And they said, you know what, we're actually not worried about it because the people side of it is the hardest part.
It's the hardest part.
You know, the rest of it, kind of gets sorted out.
Right.
But people are kind of imperfect, and design celebrates that kind of imperfection.
Yeah.
And all the mistakes that actually lead to the amazing stuff that happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something about that. I like the realness in making, I think, is going to become more important.
Yeah, I do too.
As we go forward.
Yeah. Well, I know what's next for you. Because we are going to be working on our Best of Year Awards together.
That's right. Yeah, that'll be
Hall
fun.
of Fame Awards. We were already talking about it last night, right?
Yeah, we're going to have to start prototyping next week.
Right. We have, I have an anniversary, right? Best of Year, what was it?
That's the 20-year.
20 years, right? 20 years. So we're like, oh my God, we got to figure that out. And what does that look like? And again, that's different because it's an object,
Yes.
right? And it's
Yeah.
multiple of an object, where this is a whole experience in space and allowing people to, what do you say? Play, create, make, or
Play, create, make.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. We came, we played, we created, and we made.
Well, that's kind of life in a way, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Full circle, baby. Oh, Ryan, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you do, makes me so proud. And, we know that people are going to come up, they're going to stop in their tracks, they're going to want to come in here and be like, oh, wow. And something else is that they have that expectation that they are going to know that it's from interior design. And that means so much, that it aligns with the brand, that you're always sensitive with me about the brand identity too. And I think that's why we always get it right.
Yes. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's an honor to know that and be a part of that. And that sort of stopping someone in their tracks. Like, that's such a great goal, and just to be able to, get that feedback has been wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been fun to see.